We had a deal, you fucking animal! Oh, dude, did you fuck this bread? You fucked the shit out of this bread. You don't fuck bread, God.
I had me a vision. There wasn't any television. But looking into the
Hey, how's it going, everybody? This is Shaun
and Sarah,
and welcome to my future husband's Facebook. This is episode 15.
Woohoo!
That's right, 15 episodes. We were just talking about it a few seconds ago before I hit the record button here. That's give or take 15 hours of conversation.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Now it's at the point that you would not bother to try to listen to all of them because there'd be too much of a time investment.
Unless you want to invest that much time in us.
Which would be weird.
No.
Let's be honest. That'd be weird. That'd be strange. It'd be awfully strange.
Maybe we're that soothing we can lull people to sleep.
Yeah, especially when we do these in the morning hours, because I got a nice timbre to my voice.
Yeah.
You know? Nice tone. Nice smooth and deep and a little bit raspy. It's good. I kind of like morning voices. How do you feel about morning voices?
They're okay. Mine cracks a lot, so I'm not a big fan of mine.
Yeah. No, just kidding.
Rude. That's rude.
Seriously. Sometimes I just hear you and I start laughing. I'm like, who's this chump? Not being able to properly utilize their morning voice.
It's not angelic to you?
Not all the time, sir. But anyways, yeah, so what's going on? This is a little bit late. This is a few days late, I suppose. Because we're supposed to do these, kind of Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
And we never really do. Every once in a while, we'll go 3 weeks where we do it correctly. And we had the time, but we were kind of waiting to watch something recent.
And we watched one thing kind of recent.
That's not really recent, yeah.
And it wasn't that good.
No, it was terrible. And which the quality doesn't matter, because that's the whole point. We talk about whether it's good or bad.
Exactly.
And what works and what doesn't work. But, I saw a couple movies that were newer, but Sarah didn't see them, so I was like, oh, well, we need to have at least one, together.
Yeah, because it's me a lot of Shaun talking this episode, so if that's going to bother you, I would click out now.
Well, I think that's pretty much every episode.
Yep.
I do. I talk a lot. You know, you got to fight for your time.
Got to fight for your right to party.
You got to fight for your right to speak when you're around me, because I will. I get excited about things, so I talk about them. Pretty
yeah.
You know, I cut you off and stuff.
Yeah.
But that's conversation, you got to fight back. You got to conversate back, and you got to...
Well, I don't want to make a sound muddle. That's not nice to listen to, so...
Oh, fuck sound muddles. It all works out in the end. But anyways, yeah, so, like we just said, we really haven't watched anything, super new, other than myself, and I'll briefly talk about that stuff. I won't go into a long tangent about it, but...
Yeah.
But even, Netflix, we didn't really watch a ton.
No, I found another trashy show to watch, guys.
Yeah, found another TLC reality program. Thank God, because we had run out. Every time we run out and you think it's over, they just add new things, and it's oh my God. Oh my God. But anyways,
I like that all these trashy shows come from TLC. What does TLC stand for?
The Learning Channel.
Yeah.
And you do learn something. You learn that all these shows feel almost like the same thing. No matter what the subject is. The structure and the way everything about the production of these television shows is exactly the same.
Yep.
It's crazy. To the point of just makes my brain melt. I can hang in there for a couple episodes, but I lose interest pretty quick because it's very redundant. All the episodes they're the same
thing, same formula. I know.
Yeah, they all end in the same way. But this television show, Sarah.
Yes.
What is it called?
My Big Fat American Gypsy Wedding. That's what draws me to it.
Yeah, and I'd say, even myself, it kind of piqued my interest a little bit. I was like, oh, Gypsies. That's kind of a fun, interesting thing.
Oh, excuse me, Roman Shell or Roma. They don't like being called gypsies.
Whatever. I call them gypsies. The TLC calls them gypsies, therefore
It's okay.
America. Yeah, well, they have their own, like, semantic, whatever you want to call it, name for themselves. Romancella, is that what it is?
Romancello.
It sounds like an Italian
Pasta dish.
Yeah, or like a jello type thing. Some type of Italian dessert.
Or a drink.
Yeah.
Because limoncello is a drink.
Limoncello, that's what it makes me think of.
That's a drink.
Yeah.
That's a dessert drink.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways,
it's gross.
One of the more fascinating things about gypsies, in my perspective, is that some of the gypsies on the show are actually from about a half hour away from where we actually live.
Yeah, and then actually they had one family, I don't know if you're really paying attention to the episode, they were in a town near where I used to live in Maryland.
Yeah, yeah. Well, because they're in Virginia as well.
Yeah, strong in West Virginia.
Yeah. And for those of you who don't know, like, gypsies, they've gone through different names, I guess, kind of throughout their history, like tinkers and travelers, and they're kind of known for being con artists and, like, ripping people off. Like, that's
living in campers.
Living in campers because they're always traveling, hence travelers. But probably in the past, like, 30 years or so, they've kind of started settling and, like, building communities in a few places in the on the East Coast here, on the east side of Americas.
East side?
Like North Augusta, which is about half hour away, or 20 minutes from where we live.
Yep.
I've actually seen the places they were showing on the show, like driven by, like their houses and stuff.
Oh.
So that's, I guess, it makes it a little bit more interesting, because do you ever get that, like, you get, like, that sudden jolt, like, when you see a show and you're like, oh, I've been there.
Yeah, I did that with House of Cards, because they literally
they were filming
films right down the street, like, I would say, like, 6 doors up from my apartment that I used to live in. Mm-hmm. I was like, oh my god, that's Nino's, that's Drunk Pizza! I actually said that. But, yeah, it's only Drunk Pizza, guys.
Yeah. That's
yeah, because they were filming one of the apartments above the restaurants, too,
yeah.
so... like, even the apartment looked this, like, kind of, like, familiar to me.
Yeah.
So, because they do a lot of their filming in downtown Baltimore. So, yeah, you get that thing where you're like, oh, I've been there!
Yeah. But anyways, what do you think of my big fat American gypsy wedding?
It is boring.
It was, surprisingly so.
Yeah, I thought they were gonna talk more in depth about the life of gypsies in a way, but they kind of don't. They just kind of like touch on surface things and then kind of just, I don't know. I didn't know a lot about the culture of women in gypsies though, so I did learn a lot about that. Yes.
And the weird thing about that show, from my perspective, like, because the more I watched it, was that like it's non-judgmental, but almost like leans on the side to make these people like biased in their favor. Actually, like especially about the culture of like how their women are treated, and they're not that they're treated poorly, but they have very distinct like roles,
and from a very early age, which was one of the surprising things to me.
Yeah, and
it's not uncommon to start thinking at 14 about your daughter getting married.
Or
even 6.
That is,
or even 6.
Well, 6 is like kind of like, I think they have like levels of like parties and like where they show off their kids basically, and they get them all gussied up, and they take them to parties, and like so that other families that have maybe boys can see their daughters and blah blah blah, because that's their ultimate end, is to marry them off, and then they're taken care of by their husband or whatever. Mm-hmm. And it's very patriarchal like type of marriage and stuff like that. Yeah. To a point, actually. Not in totally. They seem like they have like quite a bit of freedom. I mean, like, obviously you can't say for sure. This is obviously an outsider's perspective, but they seem like they actually do have a fair amount of freedom, because they're going out to partying and like going and shopping and doing all that sorts of stuff.
But the thing is, the women can't have alcohol. Did you hear that?
They can.
No, did you hear that part?
They're going out on partying. They had one when they went.
There was
the
one couple that it was said that she had never had a drop of alcohol in her life because her husband didn't permit it.
Yeah, because that's her husband, though. That's
I didn't.
Like, that's not like they drink. I think they drink a lot. It seems like because they were having like parties, and like they would have like, because a lot of them, like, even some of these episodes do not surround a wedding. Even though it's called My Big Fat American Gypsy Wedding, not all of them are about weddings.
Right.
Because one of them was just like a family reunion. It was probably my favorite episode. Where you introducing the character of Pat Baby.
Which Sean wishes there was a show completely.
I would just, if I'm going to watch one of these shows that's like devoid of like substance and trashy, like I just want to see a show about this dude who's just like basically just a hillbilly, for lack of a better term.
You remind me of the Bald Man.
Yeah. I mean, but they have like some interesting perspectives, and I'm surprised. Like as far as like modesty and like their view of that, I thought was kind of interesting. Because they will dress like completely trashy, and what like a normal American social mores is, I guess you would call it just like slutty. But they're very chaste.
Yeah.
Because they're like, this is all about like using your femininity, and it's all about look but don't touch. And
yeah, because the one girl, it said it's not uncommon for a girl to not even have her first kiss till the first kiss at the wedding.
Yeah, that's very true. And they have like a courting process that's usually very quick. It's like a month.
Yeah, the girl, they talked for a month, and then it's kind of like in some of the sects of gypsies, it's like they get asked to run away. You know, like...
Yeah, that's like another tradition. It's like running away.
Yeah, you just run away together and then...
Get married.
Yeah.
Which nobody has done so far.
No, people one girl was talking about it because she was 15, and it was her 15th birthday party, and she met this boy, and through texting through like 2 weeks, he asked if she would run away with him. And she said no because her mom was so controlling. Yeah.
Well, that's the thing, like, they don't date. Like, so they have, like, these parties. These just formal parties where they're chaperoned by their parents. And even though, like, they're all... And from what the show
they do date, but you have to go out with an escort.
Well, with an escort, yeah, okay. That's right. For when you're older, though. Like, that's the only time I ever saw it, was when...
No, but they did mention that, like, you cannot be alone with... But it's, I guess, more common for them to not date. But they do date.
Yeah, if they do. If they end up, I guess, dating, then they have to be chaperoned. Because there's one girl, she was 17, and maybe had, like, only spent, like...
2 days.
Yeah, like a handful of amount of time with her...
Husband.
Her husband-to-be before the wedding. And, like... yeah, so it's different.
Yeah, I felt bad for that girl because it was her first kiss was at the altar, and she was like, "I hope it's just quick and over with," and like,
yeah.
And she was like, "It's embarrassing because my mom. I don't even hold hands around my mom." And like,
well, it's like, and another funny part of it was like they were talking about like the wedding night and like things that will happen, and that like they don't discuss it with their even mothers don't discuss with their daughters like what to expect or like what's going to happen.
Yeah, they take them out of school even before they learn about it early.
Yeah, that's what they said, yeah. And they were all kind of very casually laughing about, like, it's kind of a traumatic experience, and everybody just has to go through it. Like, it's a rite of passage.
Yeah.
Because they were just kind of laughing about it, like the mothers were.
Yeah.
The older women.
She'll learn the hard way like me.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, shit. That's dark. But this goofy music is telling me it's okay.
Yeah.
It's really silly soundtrack.
Yeah, it sounds like it's like accordion music all the time.
Yeah, makes it sounds like very humorous.
Like a carnival.
Yeah. Well, that's it. Just like sometimes some really like dark things are said and happen on that show, like subtextually almost, like just underneath the surface.
Yeah.
And then they're playing this really like goofy like circus music, and like for the soundtrack, like this is how they're scoring the show. Like, oh, isn't this silly and ridiculous? And you're like, this is weird.
Yeah.
But another part of the show is that there's a woman in Boston, Massachusetts, who owns a dress shop that I guess her specialty is making like really gaudy dresses. Because I believe she makes these kind of dresses for gypsies and not for gypsies. This is just what she does. She
says that she kind of like the gypsy culture found her because she liked to make like extravagant dresses, and then she knows how to like tailor to them.
Now she tailors to them, yeah. Because she gets like commissions and they commission dresses from her. And they make fucking huge, crazy impractical dresses.
Yeah,
that
that's
are-
something I learned. I didn't know that was, like, the big deal, especially with weddings. Like, the bigger the dress, the better. Like, the
Yeah.
one comment that one of the girls made was, like, if you don't have bruises on your body from your dress, it wasn't the right dress.
Yeah, because some of these dresses weigh in are like 75 pounds.
There was one that was 100 yesterday.
Yeah.
100 pounds. And the girl didn't even weigh 100 pounds.
Yeah, that's tough stuff. I mean, it's distributed on your hips and stuff, so, like, you can walk in it and everything, but, like...
You can't fit through doorways.
No, you can't fit through doorways. But, like, I think the most interesting thing about it is that, like... And I don't know this for sure, but I would assume that it's, like, a tradition that goes back to much more, like... medieval times or whatever, like, you know, kind of the way that royalty would present themselves with having, like, these big ball gowns and these giant wedding dresses and, like, these, you know, think about, like, for reference, like, think about, like, paintings you've seen of, like, Queen Elizabeth, like,
Yeah.
you know, and those big gaudy, like, dresses, and they did
And the
that
hips
stuff
come out. And...
they do that to show their wealth and power. And, like, this very, very similar, like, psychological slant to the why gypsies do that stuff when they go out to, like, formal events, is that they are showing how much better they are than you and how much more well-off they are than other people through, like, material means. Like, that's how they identify.
Yeah, like,
to each
having
other.
thousands of Swarovski crystals put all over your dress. And
Yeah.
I felt bad for the girl who wasn't a gypsy but marrying into gypsies, and she was, like, last minute, and she was pregnant, and she was trying to figure out, like, how to deal with this, like, extravagant thing, and then, like, getting turned down from venues because they're gypsies, and, like...
Well, I don't blame venues for being biased against gypsies. They cause trouble. Like,
Yeah.
and even, like, however, like, a positive of a slant that show kind of puts on it, like, they do cause trouble, like, pretty much every time.
Yeah.
Every time something happens. You know what I mean? Like, so it's, like, I get it. Like, you guys want to be, like, wild, drunk assholes, and, like, your only defense is, like, hey, we're gypsies, this is how gypsies are, then don't expect other people to accept it.
Yeah.
You know, because you're not just, like, existing and people are just hate you. It's like, no, you go out and cause problems for yourself. So what do you expect?
Yeah.
You know, what do you expect when somebody's like, I don't know if I want you to trash my dining hall here, or,
Yeah.
like, you know? So, I don't know, it's the most, like you said earlier, the most shocking thing about this show is that it's really boring.
Yeah. Because you think it'd be like, I don't know.
Not enough crazy shit happens.
And when it does, it's kind of downplayed, and they're like, turn the cameras off. And you're like, oh.
Well, yeah, it is actually. When weirder stuff does happen, it's kind of played down. Like, they don't sensationalize that stuff very much, which I just thought was weird. Because why wouldn't you, like, take that opportunity to do that?
Right.
But at the same time, like, if you want to put out a show on, and you want people to watch it, people are going to have to somehow empathize with those people. They're going to have to see them almost as, like, heroes to a certain degree. So they have to get you on their side. If you're going to continue to watch it. You're going to have some type of empathy.
Right.
Because watching a train wreck only goes so far. And, like, that's one of those things, like, a lot of reality shows, like even, like, the Jersey Shore or something like that. Like, we've talked about this before. Like, I think people who claimed, like, ironic viewership probably was only true for, like, a little while. And
then they got
actually
into it.
started empathizing.
No, yeah.
Because it's
I watched that happen.
because it's controlled perception of people and the situations they're in and blah, blah, blah. And then it also just appeals to the worst part of, like, people. Oh my god, that's just so disgusting. But anyways, so I think that's why they probably downplay, like, kind of more the negative stuff of that. Because you have to like them.
Yeah.
If you don't like them, you're not going to want to watch it.
Right.
And they're, like, because they're full, like, 42-minute episodes, you know. So I get it, I guess, from, like, a production standpoint, but I don't know. I mean, you learn a lot of interesting things about their culture in a way. It's not really, I mean, what you're learning is, like, the domestic side, like, the household side of it.
Yeah.
Not really seeing, the only time they ever showed them out working was, like, the one, like, honest gypsy.
Yeah.
Like, these two honest gypsies, like, paving people's driveways.
He's trying to, and his goal was $10,000 for his 4-year-old's birthday party.
Yeah, that's where some extravagant birthday party. I will
Like
say
a
that
carnival ride.
they do seem like they love their kids and they love their wives, and, like, I will give them that. Their teenagers seem like total dirtbags when they're teenagers.
Yeah.
But, you know, which I don't know is, like...
Because they talk about going out with the, what do they call?
Gomes?
Something like that. Gorgers. Gorgers are people that are non-gypsies. And they talk about how, like, the Gorger girls are for practice.
Yeah.
The Gypsy girls for marrying.
Gorger girls are easy. Like, they're the easy chicks. So, if you want to get laid, go...
Yeah, and that's the other weird thing is, like, the boys are allowed to go out and, like, do that all they want.
Yeah, it's like I said, it's very patriarchal. It's very, like, it's...
Yeah, because the one teenage boy even said, like, gypsy men and boys can do whatever they want. And then, like, if a girl knows, like, what did the one guy say? He's like, if the girl teaches you something, like, I guess in a sexual sense, that she was dirty.
If a gypsy girl does.
Yeah.
If you get there on your wedding night and she knows more than you, then there's something up. Like, she shouldn't know about that stuff.
Yeah.
Which, you know,
is weird.
Per their culture, I guess that's true. I don't know, it's like, it's kind of... I don't know how I feel about gypsies, or if I can even take, like, a moral stance or anything like that. I know some people would be really, really, like, offended by their culture, but I guess I just kind of separate myself from it, and it's just like, well, that's the way they choose to live.
Yep.
But, like, at the same time, there is, like, forms of oppressive patriarchal stuff, and it is weird. But they don't, like, at least in context of that show, relative to that, like, they do not seem like they're super miserable. Like,
no.
They seem happy to have the lives that they do. And a lot of them have a lot of stuff. Like, they're not, like, they're poor, some of them. Some of them are poor. But at the same time, they'll raise, like, 10 grand to throw a party. So, like, they're not, like, wanting. It doesn't seem like. If they need money, they find a way to get it. Or if they want something, they will find a way to get it. And some of them even have really nice homes.
With statues.
Like, yeah, they have, like, religious iconography, like, all over the place. They're very superstitious people.
Yes.
And they have to have those things to ward off, like, evil spirits and whatnot. Because you gotta do what you gotta do. Evil spirits are bad business, man.
Yeah, a lot of Asian cultures are like that, too, actually.
Mm-hmm. One of the most interesting things I heard about them was that they don't, like, if they buy a new house, they don't live in it for, like, a year. They have to, like, cleanse it. It's like a process, like a ritual thing they go through.
That would drive me nuts.
They board up all the windows and stuff and, like, just let the house sit for, like, a year before they move in.
That would drive me nuts.
Hey, it's their way.
That's fine.
The gypsy way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess time's gone on, and, like, the way just the world is now, they can't be as freewheeling as they once were, and they've had to kind of all settle down in, like, certain specific areas. They can't just, like, kind of roam like they used to.
Yeah.
Because I bet people won't accept them. Like, they probably couldn't just go to an RV park and, like, have 50 of them show up and stay there for a month. Like, probably wouldn't be allowed.
Nope.
And you can't really just go park in a field somewhere, otherwise you'll get fucking arrested. So,
yeah.
So they've kind of settled down a little bit.
The laws of the land.
Laws of the land. Which is good for the normal folk. I've had some run-ins with gypsies. I'm not super impressed with them. So they came off.
Did you go to a wild gypsy party?
Skeezy. No, I used to work in a restaurant downtown, and they used to come in there every once in a while, like play pool and stuff, and try to hustle. They never tipped. They always smelled bad. I was never overly fond of them. Call them rat people.
That's rude.
Yeah, it is. It is rude. So are they. So, like, yeah. Like, I mean, so there's, like, this nice, funny side that something like that show is going to show you, and then there's probably a really dark, gross underbelly to all that.
That you experienced.
That I experienced somewhat. Like, you don't like to paint in broad strokes or anything, but, you know, the people I met were not super awesome. Just kind of seemed like, average dirtbags. Like, nothing, like, specifically special just because they're gypsy. I could give two shits if you're a gypsy. If you're an asshole, if you're a dirtbag, then I don't like you. You know? But, yeah. But that's pretty much all we've watched. Do you have anything else to say about this gypsy American wedding stuff?
No.
No?
Not really.
Pretty well traveled.
Oh, you're so punny.
Oh, yeah. Gotta love it.
I do.
Gotta love it. But we also watched The Dark Knight and The Dark Knight Rises,
Yes.
which you had not seen either of those in a while.
Yeah, in a while. Like, because every time we started Dark Knight Rises, I'd fall asleep. Mm-hmm. Rightfully so, I think, sometimes.
Yeah, that movie's got a lot of problems. I don't know. So when you read, because when was the last time you saw The Dark Knight before the other night? For a couple of years?
No. I own it.
I know that.
Well, no, maybe a year.
We've been together a year.
Oh, then.
So it was definitely before I met you. We've never watched it together.
No, I watched it right before my last set of roommates moved into my apartment. So maybe 2.
Yeah, that was a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I think
it was like the night before they came. I was like, my last night of freedom. I'm gonna watch a movie really loud, and I probably bummed around my underwear.
Yeah. So how do you feel about it now?
I still like it a lot.
Yeah, I think it holds up really well. It's not a perfect movie.
No.
At all. But I think
out of the 3, it's still the strongest.
it is. Most by far. Like a pretty wide margin too.
Yeah.
Like it's
And I'm kind of sad that they couldn't, like, keep that pace up for the 3rd one. And I understand there were some, like, weird circumstances surrounding it, but...
Well, the thing about, like, watching, especially when you watch The Dark Knight and then you watch The Dark Knight Rises right after it, it really puts a magnifying glass to, like, some of the problems with Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah.
Like, The Dark Knight has a lot of, like, contrivances and stuff that you can forgive, or it's not so noticeable, and I think a lot of that is because of the attention that's paid to the Joker.
Yeah.
And, like, because, honestly, like, the guy is just way too precise for somebody that constantly talks about how he's an agent of chaos and that he doesn't plan things. But he plans a lot of shit, and it all goes off without a hitch.
Yeah.
All the time.
Every time.
Every time. he always gets what he wants.
Right.
And then you watch something like The Dark Knight Rises, and you have the character Bane, who I guess plausibly you could imagine could pull off those things, like all those things so perfectly and everything.
Yeah.
But even then, there's a lot of contrivances. But like but they don't like hold the contrivances to the villain's plot. It's like all over the place. Like even like how does like we were watching it, like how the fuck did Alfred know all about Bane? Did he like Wikipedia him? You know what I mean? Like, there's that scene where he kind of warns Bruce Wayne about Bane.
He reads the newspapers,
to
man.
To foreshadow, basically, like, you know, what a threat he is to the audience, which you already know because they already told you, so it didn't really need to happen. And then it makes you think, like, well, what the fuck does Batman do? Like, what does Bruce Wayne do? Like, why didn't he just look it up?
Feel sorry for himself.
Yeah, I guess. But, like, there's... You know, the League of Shadows, nobody knows about the League of Shadows. Even after the events of Batman Begins, people do not know that was the League of Shadows. They did not, like, there was no fucking banner announcing that. Just, only Bruce Wayne knows that.
Yeah.
So where did they get this ready information about, like, that Bane was trained under the League of Shadows and stuff like that? Like, you don't fucking, how the hell would he know that?
I don't know.
It's just retarded. And it also takes away from a possible reveal that Bane revealing himself as being the fucking the new League of Shadows.
I am the League of Shadows.
But that should have been a reveal to Bruce Wayne, not necessarily the audience.
Yeah.
But like to Bruce Wayne's character, because he could be like, "Oh fuck,
I'm in some
I
shit."
thought it ended with Ra's al Ghul or whatever." Because this, I mean, even in that context of the League of Shadows and stuff, this is like even more of like an extremist like sect of the League of Shadows.
Yeah.
Because it's not really the League of Shadows; it's like a new incarnation. It's like terrorist cells.
Yeah.
Basically. Like, how does he know he was excommunicated? And, like, how does he know that stuff? Like, nobody told them. I doubt the League of Shadows was keeping, like, papers.
Record book.
Yeah. Records.
March 15th, 1999.
Or just, like, have
Bane exile.
all of his, like, insurance information and his social security card and everything, and shows that he was terminated and work start and work end dates. Like, I mean,
Maybe they did.
Maybe they did.
You don't know.
That's true. I don't know. I would assume
Maybe they just kept it all on computers, so there was no paper trails, and someone found a laptop.
Yeah, and then Alfred looked it up because it was somewhere on the internet, or they backed it up, and he cracked the password.
I wouldn't put that past Alfred.
Password Talia. But yeah, I don't know. I didn't mind it as much as sometimes when I watch it. Like, I mind it.
Last time?
Yeah, the other night when we watched it.
Yeah, you said that after it was done.
Yeah, because the last time I watched it, I'd only watched it a few months ago. And I was just like, and it still does, like, the movie just annoys me. Because, like, there's so many things in there that are, like, unnecessary to the plot, like the whole John Blake subplot. It's a fine subplot, but why does he have to know that Bruce Wayne is Batman? And not only does he know that Bruce Wayne is Batman, but he does it in the dumbest way possible.
Exactly.
Because he had a look on his face. Like when he was a kid when he met him. Like, that's dumb. That's retarded.
Yeah.
Like, why couldn't he just like Batman, glorify that guy, the Batman, like, character, and also... Okay, I'm getting really lost here.
Slow down. Slow your roll. Slow your roll.
Because if he identifies with Batman and just wants to help Batman, then that also is more like proof that just the Batman as a symbol has worked.
Yeah.
Because it's inspiring people to do the right thing, to be good. By making it so that he knows that it's Bruce Wayne doing it, almost takes away from that. Makes it matter less.
Yeah, a little bit.
Makes, like, the symbol of what Batman's supposed to be, like, standing in for less of a thing. In my opinion.
Wouldn't you think, too, it'd make more sense for someone who's going to be Robin, like, to want to follow Batman and not Bruce Wayne?
Yeah.
The way they set it up.
In that context, yeah. I mean, because
you know, originally it was like, you know, Batman took in Dick Grayson and blah, 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 and so they had this tie between the Bruce and Dick, and then they also had Batman and Robin, but in the context that this movie set up Robin, you would think he'd be more compelled to, like, just follow the spirit of Batman, and it didn't matter if he knew if he's Bruce Wayne or not.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. And then you take away, like, some sort of, like, dramatic reveals at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Or just the idea that people could, like, surmise or, like, you know, try to, like, figure it out, like, in the fallout at the end of the movie.
Right.
Rather than, I don't know. Because there's one reveal when he reveals himself to Commissioner Gordon at the end, and instead of telling him, he just puts it in, like, a riddle. And he's just like, you know, he's just giving a little boy a jacket to let him know the world had ended. And Gordon's like, oh, you're Bruce Wayne, because that must have been the only fucking time he'd ever done anything like that for somebody. Yeah. You know, Gotham, crime capital of the goddamn world at the time. Probably a lot of kids losing their fucking parents.
Yeah.
You know, that's just me. Like, shit like that, it just bothers me. Like, because it's...
Well, go ahead.
Oh, no, sorry.
No, I was saying, I brought up the fact that your voice just told it. I sometimes have more problems understanding Batman than I did Bane.
Well, actually...
I know he redid everything, but
Bane, yeah, they had to re-record everything because people complained. And I think people complained because they were set up to complain. Because when journalists were talking about seeing the footage before anybody else had, the general public had, that's all they talked about. It was like, I can't understand Bane.
But sometimes Christian Bale's voice is a little too much.
You know, it's actually worse in The Dark Knight Rises than it was in The Dark Knight. I think The Dark Knight, he found that sweet spot.
Yeah.
Where it was, like, not particularly grating, it didn't sound as comical, and then The Dark Knight Rises, it's a little, like, thicker and more, it's, like, a little more distracting than it is in The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
And, like, you know, some people have, like, complaints. Their complaints are, like, you know, when Catwoman disappears, when they're first talking on the roof, he's like, oh, that's what that feels like.
Yeah.
Like, people will bitch about, like, why did he still use the Batman voice when he was alone?
Because he's in the suit.
Yeah, he's in
You never know who's around.
Exactly. She could be right over there.
Yeah.
You don't know. She disappeared.
Yeah.
No, but, like, stuff like that does not bother me. Like, that's not, like, a thing I would nitpick and care about.
It's people nitpicking. They need more,
There's just, like, huge, like, fundamental, like, problems with the movie that, like, you don't even have to get into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's what people choose to complain. People have too much time on their hands.
Or, like, the reveal of Talia. Some people just think that just was dumb in general. And I agree, it takes all the power away from Bane by making him a lackey.
Yeah.
In the final moments of Bane's character, like he's no
Which is
longer
also
like a
his-
menacing threat anymore.
Which also his end is a little stupid.
It is. That's kind of dumb.
Catwoman just like, boo.
Super contrived.
And then you're like, oh, I guess Bane's dead.
No, but like the way to like fix the Talia subplot is just to reveal to the audience that she's Talia 40 minutes before the end of the movie, so that we have a sense of dread whenever anybody interacts with her.
Yeah.
Like
when he sleeps with her.
Yeah, that's what I thought. It
Yeah.
should have been like right before that. Right before that.
And then you're like, no, don't bang her.
Well, yeah, just to let you... It would build tension, because the audience would be like, oh, fuck.
He doesn't know, but we know.
What's she
oh
going to
my
do?
God.
Like, is she going to try to kill him now? Like, what is she going to... Like, you would always have that in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, because there's some things just... But, like, at the same time, it's one of the better bad movies, I guess. Because it's pretty well made. Like, just... It's competently made. Like, so I can't, like... When I'm watching it, I'm not, like, fucking, like, ripping out my eyes. Or, like, not wanting to watch it, really.
Yeah.
It doesn't, like, really lose me, even though I'm completely aware of, like, how fucking stupid some of that stuff is.
Right.
You know? It's not like watching... Oh, God. I don't know, because we're talking about Batman. Like, you watch something like Batman and Robin. Like, I can't even sit through that movie anymore.
That's
like,
sad.
I just don't like it, like, at all. Like, I find it really grating and just inane and dumb. And because it's not a very well-made movie. On top of being really punny and stupid and...
Hey, that part's fantastic. You're just a snob.
Well, it doesn't entertain me. I'm just bored. I'm really bored when I watch Batman.
How is Mr. Freeze boring?
Because once I've seen it enough times to just be bored by it, I guess. I don't know. Like, there's just nothing there, nothing visually stimulating other than the aesthetic design, and the aesthetic design is played out because they just they leaned way too hard into it. Like the fake shit. Like, it worked in Batman Forever. I actually don't mind that movie at all. I think it walks that line really well.
Yeah.
Between, like, goofy and serious. It walked it perfectly. And I think, in hindsight, it was probably an accident that it worked as well as it did. I mean, when you have a movie like Batman and Robin is so, like, bad that the director, on the special edition of Batman and Robin, formally apologizes for the movie. You know you got a stinker on your hands. Like, he does. He formally apologizes. So I am sorry to all the Batman fans that were looking forward to seeing this and blah, blah, blah. Because it was one of those times where it was big money. Batman Forever was a big movie, and Batman and Robin was probably going to be a bigger movie as far as, like, box office and merchandise and stuff like that. And the toy companies had a big hand in designing
Yeah.
all the costumes and all the vehicles and the gadgets, and
I think that's kind of cool, though.
all that stuff was pre-planned before the movie was even written. Like, they had to have these elements because we're going to sell toys based on them.
I thought that's kind of cool, though, when toys inform.
No, I don't think that's cool at all. Why would I want some, like, corporate entity, like, dictating the terms of, like, well, what you have to have in the script and what you have to do
That's
and how we
true.
have to make it a little bit more kid-friendly. It's called toyetic. That is the term they use. They want a synergy between the marketing of it and the actual movie. So the marketing completely informs that movie. And then what you get is a shitty movie. Because it's trying to just sell you things constantly. And it's just a terrible fucking movie. I hate it. I hate it.
Oh my god.
No, I don't hate it. I don't like it. And I can separate my, like, being a fan of Batman from that, too. Like,
Can you?
I can. It's just not that great of a movie. It's just objectively not a very well-made movie. Like, from just a filmmaking standpoint. Like, it's just kind of weak. The writing's weak. The best thing about that is just, like, some of the performances are fun. Uma Thurman's fun.
My vibe.
Like, in a really terrible, like, campy way. Like, she is fun in that movie.
Yeah.
Arnold Schwarzenegger, he fares a little worse, but he's fine. Like, in context to it, what they were trying to do. Because I think that's important when you look at any movies. Like, you see, like, okay, what were the goals that this movie set out to achieve, and did it achieve them?
Yeah.
I don't think that movie achieves its goals most of the time. Yeah, because it's like, we used to just talk about Batman and Robin forever. Like, why do you have to have like a melodramatic subplot about Alfred dying? Like, that movie did not need that. Just make a fun movie. Like, if you're gonna make like a stupid, like colorful, fun movie,
you had to find a way to get Batgirl in.
Then just don't make her Alfred Pennyworth's fucking granddaughter.
There you go.
That was dumb. But it served their thesis, like, about family. That's what that movie is about. The subtext of that film.
Well, we were just talking about that the other day. It was just because Commissioner Gordon's not really a character in those movies.
Yeah, he's not a character.
He's there, but he's not...
Yeah, because, I mean, he's in the first Batman, but he's still on the sidelines. Batman never really has any real interaction with him at all.
Right.
He's always just a police officer, basically. I don't know, they don't have any, like, connection, like, where, like, he's supposed to, basically. Like, well, by comic book standards he's supposed to. The way those characters are built. So, yeah, like, it would have been weird to suddenly, like, have Barbara Gordon there. Because he's not a character. I got that. I get it. But, I don't know. I think you could have just thought of something better. Make her... I don't know. Make her just some biker chick that fucking Robin meets while he's out doing his biker business. I don't know.
With those day glow goons.
Yeah. Just do that. Like, why? It doesn't need... Because you don't try to put, like, an emotional heart that just falls, like, super flat and doesn't matter into a movie that is just constantly at odds with the tone of the rest of the movie, and it's just fucking terrible. It's stupid.
I can see veins in your head popping out.
No, I'm not upset about it. Like, I'm way past that. Like, I don't need to be upset about Batman and Robin. It's not gonna fucking matter. Like, I don't need to be upset about Dark Knight Rises. You know, when I first saw Dark Knight Rises, I was totally fine with it. I was like, I knew that there was tons of problems.
Yeah.
But I did not hate it.
Yeah.
I was like, that's definitely probably the worst of the three.
Yeah, definitely. And
I was like, there's a lot of problems with it, but I was like, overall, I was fine with it. Because I think it achieves more than it fails at. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I would say.
Okay.
About that.
Okay.
Final thoughts on Dark Knight Rises, sir?
Final thought? I'll be fine with it.
I mean,
I'll watch it again.
Yeah, I'll watch it again, too. I mean, like, especially when I have all three of them, I have a hard time watching just one of them.
Yeah.
I'll have to just roll it right into the next one.
Yeah.
Or the next day watch the next one or something. Like, even, like, that's another thing I noticed, like, because they're Christopher Nolan movies. So what did I watch right after Dark Knight Rises?
Inception.
I put Inception on. Because he is tonally consistent. There's a consistency throughout his movies where they all kind of feel the same. In a good way, I find that it's like the mark of his director's mark, basically. Like, you can tell it's a Christopher Nolan movie.
Yeah.
Like, by the score, and even Hans Zimmer did the score for the Batman movies. He did the score for Inception. Yeah, that's Inception started that trend in trailers.
I know.
The womp. Oh my god! Did you see the original Inception trailer?
I did.
Holy shit!
I remember when I first saw it, I was like, I must see this, and then I didn't see it in theaters. It was weird. I didn't see it till like much later on. I got it on demand or something.
Yeah.
It was like on one of the movie channels my mom got at her house. So I was like, I'll watch this. And I remember my mom walking in and out, being like, "What the hell is going on?" I'm like, "Sit down."
It's really good. I didn't make it all the way through. I ended up falling asleep, but like, I still really enjoyed Inception.
No, I like Inception a lot.
Probably his best movie.
We should rewatch it and then we'll do a podcast section on it.
Okay, we can do that. Like, Inception is one of those movies that sticks with me in the same way that something like Looper sticks with me. Like, good original sci-fi like movies.
Yeah.
And that have come out recently, which we don't get a lot of, like those like super original sci-fi stuff. Like,
no.
Everything's a sequel or based on a comic book, so it's cool. It's like when somebody does something original and actually does a good job with it. Like, that's kind of, yeah. I always, like, because for whatever reason, like, I always think about, like, often I'll just like randomly be like, man, I could really watch Looper right now.
No, I've actually, like I was telling you, two guys at work were like trying to figure out Inception, and they couldn't remember the name, and they were like, "Wait, was that Looper?" and I told them both to stop and watch Looper. Like,
Yeah.
I was like, I watched it twice in the same day, because we did.
Yeah.
I watched it the first time I watched it, and then we watched it again.
Yeah.
Because it was really good.
And both of those movies have their problems. They do. Like, Looper is just full of plot holes and contrivances and, like, all sorts of stuff. There's a lot of problems with Looper, but there's, like, something just so... At the core of it, like, it's so well made, it's really easy to forgive a lot of that stuff.
Yeah.
It is. It is. Because the movie, like, it falls into the same trap all time travel movies fall into, like time paradoxes and the impossibility of actually any of the shit actually even happening, and even in their own timeline. Like, even the world they set up, like, even what's happening on screen is not really possible. Like, so it's just a problem most time travel movies fall into. There is one time travel flick, really low budget. You never saw it, but you did see the director's follow-up movie, Upstream Color.
Oh, jeez.
Shane Carruth. His first movie that he did is called Primer, and it's a movie about time travel.
Oh, okay.
And it deals with time paradoxes. It actually deals with them. And the cool thing about that movie, it does it so subtly that you don't even notice until you, like, start rewatching the movie.
Oh, cool.
Like, to realize that there's, like, 8 different timelines happening, and they're actually all represented on screen, but they don't lead you to tell you that.
I would have enjoyed that more than Upstream Color.
Upstream Color is very, like, abstract. Like, I have to watch that again.
I don't want to watch it again.
Oh, I do, because I think there's something really interesting in that movie. Like, there's something really, really interesting there.
Yeah.
And it's the same kind of thing with Primer. It's just like, well, because it's not there. He just, from Primer and Upstream Color, like, the consistency is he's not holding your hand. He's not going to hold your hand, like, to tell you what is actually, like, going on. Because part of it's, like, your interpretation, and part of it is, like, their clues. Like, he's leaving you clues throughout.
Yeah.
But the cool thing about it is, though, like, when you really do get into those movies, like, in the same way with Primer, and from what I've read, the same way with Upstream Color, is that, like, it's actually in there. You just don't know what to pay attention to.
I thought it was kind of pretentious, that's all.
All movies are kind of pretentious to a certain extent. It's trying to say something greater about the world, man.
With
about
pigs.
Connectivity. About connectivity and God and life. And I don't know, that's... I agree with you, yeah, it is kind of pretentious. Like, it's an art movie. It's like an art house science fiction movie.
Yeah.
And I'm fine with it. Like, I watch, like, Eraserhead, and I like Eraserhead, and that is pretentious as fuck.
Yeah.
You know? Like,
True.
I like Mulholland Drive. That is pretentious as fuck.
I hate Mulholland Drive.
Because you know what? Mulholland Drive doesn't even have the pieces to support actually what the fucking movie's about. Because David Lynch just likes to cut things out and not tell you... Hey, he does. Like, there's like a 4-hour cut of Mulholland Drive. Nobody's ever seen it. It's the actual movie. Like, he just did, like, a vignette version of it. And he's like, I'll release that. Because I'm David Lynch, and I make weird movies.
Yeah, it's funny, that for the longest time, that was my least favorite movie ever made.
Mulholland Drive?
Mulholland Drive.
What about, you know, I think
I watched it, like, 2 or 3 times over the course of, like, 2 or 3 days, and I tried, and I was like, this is terrible.
Yeah. I'm not a big Mulholland Drive fan either. I'm not. But I don't think it's terrible. I think there's some really interesting stuff in there. Oh, you're gonna sneeze. Ah! Podcast ruined.
Sorry.
Start it over.
No.
I think there's interesting stuff in Mulholland Drive. There is like a weird, like, when I said, like, he doesn't even have the things to support, like, what the movie's actually trying to say. That's a little disingenuous. Because there is, like, this through line of, like, a red key. And, like, you have to, like, follow the key, basically, and it kind of shows you what you're supposed to be paying attention to. But he doesn't always draw your attention to the key, so you have to, like, just watch out for it.
Oh.
So it's stuff like that, and I think that's interesting. I'm not going to say, like, objectively good or bad. I don't know if you can objectively say if that's good or bad, because it's like, well, everything's in focus, everything's framed correctly, acting's pretty consistent and good. It's the story. Like, it doesn't know. It's like you don't know if you're supposed to be, like, going on a character journey or if this is plot driven. Like, you never know.
Yeah.
You don't know.
I'll have to maybe rewatch it.
You don't know what's a dream and what's real and, like, what's made up in her head and what's not. Like, because it doesn't ever tell you, I guess.
But maybe I'll rewatch it now that I'm older. But
Yeah, because when I first saw that, I was a teenager.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, and I didn't understand it, and I didn't have the patience for it. I watched it again like a couple years ago, and I was like, oh, okay. Like, it's maybe... I was pretty dismissive of it when I was a teenager. Because I just didn't have the patience for it. Like, I was also... And I still kind of hold to this. I was really dismissive of, like, the Royal Tenenbaums, like...
What?
And I still don't love that movie. I just can't, like, get into it for whatever reason. I've tried to watch it a bunch of times. Like, I just...
Messing with my man.
Wes Anderson, he's kind of style over substance.
Yeah.
He is. He is. And sometimes it works for me, sometimes it doesn't. Like,
He's...
Life Aquatic, I think is fantastic. And a lot of people think that's, like, his worst movie.
What?
And I don't agree.
Darjeeling Limited was very pretty.
I kind of like Darjeeling Limited.
That's one of my favorites of his.
But his movies are pretentious as shit, too.
Whatever, man.
They are.
He's one of my favorite directors.
They're incredibly pretentious, and they're incredibly on the nose. Like, so they're not even, like, giving you as the audience, and this is just, I'm just saying this for discussion's sake.
I know.
They're not even giving the audience the credit to be able to figure it out themselves. Like, if the character feels a way, or if they have a relationship, they will literally speak it out to each other. They will literally say it to each other.
Yeah.
If there is no, like, subtext, and there's no, like, finding those, like, quiet moments of tension and stuff, like, no. Like, it's, like, there's a script here, it's very structured, and, like, we're just going to tell you.
Nah.
And that's fine. I don't have any problem with that, but...
I like him.
I don't love him. I like most of his movies, though.
He's in my top 3 directors.
Like, you, like, really like Moonrise Kingdom.
Yeah.
And I really enjoy that movie on, like, just a superficial level, but, like, I don't love that movie. Like, I really enjoyed it when I watched it, but I'm not,
To quote Moonrise Kingdom, I love you, but you have no idea what you're talking about.
Okay. I think those movies, like, are predicated on, like, people bringing their own baggage into them, and they kind of put that on the characters, maybe when they're not even really there, that baggage isn't really there. Because I think those characters are empty enough for you to do that.
Yeah.
You kind of fill them with yourself, which I don't know if that's by design or not. Like, that's the question I guess I would have for, like, most Wes Anderson movies. Is that design? Is that on purpose?
I think it's on purpose.
I don't know. I also think he just really is beholden to, because he loves it, is that, like, his aesthetic.
Yeah.
And, like, he wants to create, like, very particular, like, imagery, and he wants the scenes to have very particular pacing that is, like, slightly off-kilter, and it's not so much about, like, depth or actually the story. I don't know. Because I think a lot of his plots are weak. They're really weak. Like, even, like, The Life Aquatic is a really meandering movie.
Yeah.
Not a lot happens in Life Aquatic. I just really love Bill Murray. So I could watch Bill Murray, like, fuck around for 2 hours and I'm fine. And Bill Murray's fantastic in that movie. Well, Bill Murray's pretty fantastic in all the Wes Anderson movies.
Yeah.
That's
I like him best in Rushmore.
He's great in Rushmore, yeah.
Like the scene where he jumps into the pool and just sinks to the bottom. I used to watch that scene over and over again.
Yeah.
Because I feel that way some days. I'd be like, oh man, I could totally just do that right now too. Jump in with drink and all.
Yeah.
Or my Budweiser American.
What is your favorite Wes Anderson movie? I think you used to say, what is it, Bottle Rocket?
Yeah, Bottle Rocket.
You like his first one the best?
Bottle Rocket. It probably goes Bottle Rocket, and then Rushmore was a big thing for me for a while, and then I think it's a tie between Darjeeling and actually Moonrise Kingdom.
Yeah.
Because I like the narrative in Moonrise Kingdom, like the narrator and all that, and Fantastic Mr. Fox. I generally don't have a problem with his movies.
No, neither do I.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying, so it's hard for me to kind of, but I always liked Bottle Rocket because it was a weird crime movie, you know, like...
Yeah, which in Bottle Rocket actually has a really interesting, like, story behind how that movie was made, how it ended up. It was supposed to be about something completely different. It actually started as something completely different while they were filming it. And then they ended up discovering this new avenue for the story, like, while they're... Because they shot it in sequence, I believe, and, like, midway through shooting, they're like, oh, this is actually where the story's going. Because once you actually get in there and start creating the character dynamics and stuff like that, you know, they were kind of just, oh, let's just let these characters play out actually how we have started them, and not just behold to the script.
Right.
So we'll just write a new script, like, write a new second half. So I thought that's kind of cool. And I always really liked Bottle Rocket. But I also think Bottle Rocket's the most, like, Wes Anderson.
Western movie. No, I understand. Yeah.
It's not, like, he doesn't have his aesthetic. It was made really cheap.
Yeah.
I don't know. And also I feel like those movies just speak to, like, very, like, upper class, like, white people problems. And almost, like, I feel, and I know this sounds terrible, but, like, I almost feel like somebody's trying to talk down to me sometimes when I watch his movies about, like, just... And that's maybe more personal than anything.
I think it is.
Well, because that's what it's about. It's about, like, most of his movies, especially, like, from Rushmore on, are all about, like, rich people problems.
Yeah.
And about, like, their family dynamics and how they're all fucking spoiled and daddy didn't give me enough attention and, like... And I'm fine with that. Fundamentally, I'm fine with it. I just think they just make it... It's just like that's his life, and that's what he knows. So, like, I understand why he makes those movies, but, like, whether or not I'm actually gonna, like, really be able to overly invest or really care all that much is probably a different story.
Yeah.
Like, that's probably why there's slightly a disconnect, because I don't relate to many of those characters, like, in his movies. I don't.
Okay.
The one I found the most relatable is probably The Life Aquatic, like Owen Wilson and Bill Murray. That dynamic. I relate to that the most. Just because it's not about your place in the world. It's not about, like, your class. It's about just, like, actually is just about their relationship and about him being kind of a absentee father and like having and his son, like, trying to just, like, kind of earn his respect or whatever. It's because it's very simple. It's very basic. So that's it. Probably that one works for me the best.
Okay.
I think, like,
that's up there too for me. Music alone.
Yeah, they had a really great soundtrack with the David Bowie stuff.
Sue George.
Mm-hmm. Well, that was a odd shift. Batman to Wes Anderson.
That's how our minds work.
That's how it goes. I don't even know. Should we even talk about the movie we were going to talk about at this point?
No. We can link it.
Let's briefly talk about it.
Okay.
I think it's worth talking about. And we did talk about Owen Wilson.
Yeah, I was going to say, we talked about Owen Wilson.
So there we go. Full circle, everybody. Not really. So, we saw the Vince Vaughn, Owen Wilson film, The Internship, directed by Shaun Levy, who makes a lot of hack comedies.
Uh-oh.
So, it's basically trying to recapture that... Wedding Crashers magic.
It didn't.
It doesn't. It's probably one of the worst comedies I've seen in a while.
I agree.
Because not only is it not funny, it's boring.
And it's like Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson, it's them doing them too much. Like,
yeah,
they had too much free reign of Owen Wilson giving his, like...
Improv.
It had, like, too much of Owen Wilson giving his, like, kind-hearted, like... pure, like, life talks,
because they're caricatures of themselves at this point.
Yeah, and then Vince Vaughn just rambling for, like, 5 minutes at a time. Literally 5 minutes at a time.
Yeah, because that's the thing, like, Vince Vaughn was also credited as one of the writers.
Yeah.
And I think it's story by Vince Vaughn, so this was Vince Vaughn's kind of, like, baby. And, man, there are some scenes that are just go on for, just...
5 minutes.
5 minutes of just improv. Now, I would like to stipulate that we did watch, like, the unrated version. I think it's, like, 5 minutes longer. And there's, like, swearing and boobs and stuff. But, like, so I'm not sure what was in the theatrical cut as far as these scenes. Like, they have, like, when they're being interviewed for the Google internship, it goes on for, like, 6 minutes of them just rambling. Like,
yeah.
And none of it's very funny, because they just literally say the same thing over and over again.
Yeah.
Like, anytime they get together and they have to, like, talk, they just improv for, like, 5 minutes.
And then it's done.
And then it just hard cuts to the end of the scene, and then they're on to something else.
Yeah.
It makes no goddamn sense.
And, I don't know, even the supporting actors, all the, like, other interns, weren't that great.
No, not really. That's the thing, like, you don't care about any of them, because none of them feel very real. And, like, I don't give a shit.
I also didn't like that I had to sit and watch Quidditch.
Yes, they play a game of Quidditch.
I felt like I was back at my liberal arts college.
Well, it's just like the whole movie is super formulaic and contrived, and everything you think will happen happens. There's not even any tension, like, because they're all like they're in different groups in this internship. They're like in different competing teams, and obviously Owen Wilson and Vince Vaughn are in like the scruffy ragtag, the Bad News Bears of the Google interns.
Because everyone else looks at them and they're like, you're dinosaurs. You know?
Yeah, exactly. Like, fucking retarded. Like, it's so dumb. Like, who the hell... Do people talk like that?
Yeah.
I
guess British people do. I'll have to ask Jan if he's like that snobby to people.
Were you that snobby to the older generation, sir?
Yeah.
So... And they're all in competition, basically. They have, like, these things they have to do, scenarios they have to, like, work through and stuff like that, and they race or whatever. You never get a sense of timing. You never get a sense of, like, who's in the lead or anything. Like, you have no idea, like, where they stand in this competition.
Because literally they make it seem like there's only 2 teams when there's literally hundreds of teams.
Well, not hundreds, but there's a few, though. There's a lot. There's more than just 2.
And then we get a sense of only the 2.
Yeah, and then you never know where they stand.
Yeah.
Until the end, and the last thing, like, oh, you're like, tied. Like, why?
Yeah.
I've seen them do, like, one thing successfully.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like, it's just so dumb. It's so dumb, and it's so... Exactly... There's no surprise... Nothing is surprising. The
strip club was surprising.
Not really. Everything that happens in the strip club, okay. Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Sure, they're gonna do like all this rite of passage stuff they've never got to do.
That's true.
And then Vince Vaughn and Owen Wilson get to be like the de facto fun, like, surrogate fathers.
Yeah.
And it's just dumb. It's just so dumb. Oh my god, I don't know.
I'm sad we watched it.
And I think the weirdest part of that movie, it's like a weird, like, commercial for Google, like, cult shit. Like, about how much Google cares about the world is so constantly, like, talked about.
Yeah, it's like a big ad for Google.
It is. And it's almost like... I mean, I assume maybe that's the rhetoric that's on the campus when they're actually there, when people are there actually, like, working at Google and the internship, so maybe it's, like, accurate in that sense. But it felt gross. I felt the whole time I just felt like, gross.
Yeah.
Like, about, like, how, like, it's just such bullshit. Like, don't fucking try to tell me, like, we are the world, like, type shit about Google. Like, some major corporation. Like, go fuck yourself. Like...
Oh my, you're getting angry.
A multi-billion-dollar company that, what good do they do in the world? Fucking somebody, do not, like, be like, oh, they donate to this charity or that charity. Yeah, well, tell me if that charity actually does anything. You know, fuck. That's I always think, like, it's the funniest thing about, like, all these, like, charity organizations and all this stuff that people raise money for. Like, why isn't anything getting better then?
Yeah.
Like, if people, like, you have somebody like Leonardo DiCaprio will spend, like, $3 million on, like, a fundraising dinner to raise $2 million, and about the polar ice caps. Like, why don't you just take that money you would have used to throw that party, that fundraiser for your friends, so you can pat each other on the back because you care so much, and fucking actually just, like, directly give it to an organization.
Or a scientist.
Or a scientist, or something. The closest I ever saw that was during that tsunami that happened. Mm-hmm. Or people actually just gave money to the people that were working there. But, like, seriously, like, what if you just took a couple $1 million and just gave it to a homeless shelter?
That's a crazy idea.
Instead of, like, going through this weird middleman process, it's still right. You can still write it off. You can still consider it charity. Give it to them.
Yeah. No, I agree.
Give it to them. You'd change people's lives.
Yeah.
Go down there with a sack full of cash and just hand it out to people on a soup line.
Make it rain.
Go give everybody $10,000. Best day of their life. Might even change their lives. Some of them will die because they'll use it to go buy drugs and stuff. And they'll probably rob each other. So maybe don't do it so much. So, like,
maybe give it to the center director.
Maybe, or something. But, like, there's just other ways to go about that stuff, and I just find, like, there's such a hypocrisy.
I agree. No, I definitely agree.
Yeah. I just think it's more just about PR, like, just about to make themselves look good. than it
Yeah.
has really to do with any, like, achieving any type of, like,
Real
real
goal.
change or anything.
Yeah. The power of money.
Like, the idea of, like, this, the war against poverty, it's like the war against poverty could be won pretty easily. Pretty easily.
Yeah.
You want to, like, it'd be pretty easy to, like, feed everybody in this country or, like, clothe them, whatever. And now there's so much money thrown around into, like, organizations and charities that, like, how is it nothing really significantly different? It's just, it's weird.
I agree.
Or actors that want to talk about, like, how they're willing to pay more taxes because they care about their country and, like, yeah, sure, take more of my money or whatever. Like, why don't you just distribute it? Like, go actually just get into distribution of wealth. Actually do it.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Anyways, The Internship, terrible.
It was terrible.
Don't even recommend a rental on that one.
Nope.
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 Nope. Let it know.
2 thumbs down.
That's 2 thumbs down. Rest in peace, Roger Ebert. Gene Siskel.
Yeah, Siskel too, man.
Are
Don't
both
forget Siskel.
dead. Well, who like? No, does anybody really like Gene Siskel?
I did.
He's a kind of a cranky old man.
I liked him.
You know, I always really loved Roger Ebert because, like, he just, like, he can be completely separate himself and just write his reviews based on, like, did I enjoy this or not?
Yeah.
Like,
I think you said that before on the podcast.
He's just more into, like, was this movie entertaining? And, like, he can be, like, very articulate and artsy about it, too, but, like, that seems like his main concern. Was, like, did this movie entertain me?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that about Roger Ebert. I used to always read Roger Ebert's reviews because it would be a good... I wouldn't always agree with them, but it would be a good bar to, like, well, this is at least worth watching.
Yeah.
I could usually go to Roger Ebert for that. I think Roger Ebert would have hated The Internship.
I do too.
Yeah.
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 So we'll give 2 ghost thumbs down as well.
Oh, you know what we should talk about very briefly?
What?
Right at the tail end of this thing.
What?
Right at the end here.
What?
Oh, nobody's made it this far. Right at the end, X-Men Days of Future Past trailer.
It's okay.
Yeah. You know what, though? I did not really care about that movie until I saw that trailer. It actually kind of got me on board a little bit.
Yeah, it looks really good, but I'm not gonna put all my eggs into a basket
No,
yet.
me neither. And I think I don't even know if it's gonna work or it looks fine. Like they haven't even really. They just finished like filming it, so like to have a trailer that there's a bunch of effects that haven't even been done yet and color correction, like they really haven't done anything with it. They're just trying to get ahead of everybody because they're like, well, a lot of superhero movies are coming out, and around this time, while people's interest is like renewed in the superheroes, let's put a trailer out.
Yeah.
Just to kind of capitalize on like Thor coming out and stuff like that.
Thor! I'm excited. We're going this weekend.
Yeah, I'm actually looking forward to Thor, even though I don't really like any of the other Marvel movies, except for Iron Man 3. I actually really like that.
Save it for the next podcast.
Yes, I will. But yeah, but it actually kind of made me curious. Like, I'm optimistic about it now, whereas before I kind of had no opinion about it.
Yeah,
I'm interested
I think
to
it's
see some of
okay.
the dynamics
I'm not gonna get super excited though because I've been kind of me and the X-Men movies have a weird.
Yeah, you're not a big, and it's a direct sequel to the other X-Men movies, so it's not going to fix anything that you have problems with.
I know.
It's not going to.
I know.
Although I don't know, I'm definitely curious as to how. I mean, they did change like the Days of Future Past storyline. Kitty Pryde goes back, not Wolverine. Wolverine goes back because Wolverine is the star of this franchise.
Hell yeah!
So
go Hugh Jackman.
Go Hugh Jackman. Go. But yeah, so Wolverine is the star of he's the lead of all these movies. Mm-hmm. He is. Even though some of them are more ensemble driven than others, it's very clear that Wolverine is Wolverine even had a terrible movie that failed at the box office. Oh, I'm sorry, did not completely fail. X-Men Origins, Wolverine, it was not a complete failure.
Right.
But it did not do buku bucks. It did not make tons of money. And they still gave him another movie.
Damn right.
Still gave him another of his own movies.
And it was fantastic.
Yeah, it was decent.
I thought it was fantastic.
I enjoyed it quite a bit. But so it makes sense to me that obviously you're going to have Wolverine be your fucking guy. to be like just the through line of the movie is going to be Wolverine.
Yay.
Which might work and might not, because at the same time, one of the better parts of X-Men First Class is the fact that it is more of an ensemble.
Yeah, we'll see what they do with it, though.
So we'll see. I'm cautiously optimistic about it.
I'm gonna just say, okay, let's see what you do.
Okay. Well, yeah, this is getting really long, so any final parting words?
Keep on trucking.
Keep on trucking. Keep on rambling, folks. Keep on watching movies and, or something. Believe in me, because I don't believe in anything. Counting crows?
Probably.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.